What's up, YouTube? Do you want to save a ton of space on your hard drive if you have a lot of media files that you've downloaded? You should know about Hardlinks. Hardlinks are a kind of a cool thing that Linux can do that kind of reminds me of shortcuts in Windows, but a little bit different. That's kind of simplifying it too much. But you should know that you should be using Hardlinks if you want to save a lot of data. So the question is, what are Hardlinks and what should you be doing? So this is the folder structure article that you'll see on the Wiki, and this talks about how the folder should be set up, especially for hard linking, and that's what you can see in this blue box up here. So this is the way our pool setup should be for our media folder. So you have your pool name, which in my case is probably going to be tank for all the demonstration purposes. Then I have my media folder, and then under my media folder, I'm going to have three more folders: movies, TV, and downloads. And I sometimes include this optional torrent folder for partially completed downloads. These three folders, movie, TV, and downloads, these are the most important ones. So I'm going to jump over to my TrueNAS box right now. I'm going to go into my system. I'm going to show you my data sets here first, and you'll see here's my media folder. Now I keep using the word folder. I'm going to get better with this because what I have to be talking about is the difference between data sets and directories. So this is a data set, which is a property of the ZFS file system. Data sets are really cool because you can use them, for example, my configs files here, to do snapshots and backups and replication, all kinds of really cool things. Now, you can do a lot more with a data set than you can with a directory, which is why we use data sets for our configs files, so we can roll them back one at a time based on snapshots in case something breaks. Media, we don't want to be using sub data sets. What we have here is subdirectories. Sub means underneath this file. So you'll see media here just looks like one big fat folder, but it's not. So I'm going to go into the shell and I'm going to show you that within media, tank media, there are three folders. And now again, I keep using folders. Within the data set of media, there are three directories: the downloads directory, the movies directory, and the TV directory. And that's exactly what you'll see here: movies, TV, and downloads. So the reason for that is hard links do not work across data sets. They only work across directories. That's very, very important to know. So when you're setting up your folders and files on your TrueNAS machine, this is the way it needs to be set up. Now, if you want this to be done automatically, there's a script that does it for you. You'll see this in the wiki under the auto folder creation for TrueNAS, but I'm not going to get to that now. That's a different video. Basically, what I want you to make sure is that your media folder looks like this. Everything we do on this channel assumes you have this set up. If you don't have it set up like this, things are not going to work for hard links, and you're going to end up wasting a lot of hard drive space for no reason. So let's talk about what it looks like when your computer uses hard links, or your server uses hard links versus no hard links. So this is what no hard links looks like. Made this cool little diagram real fast in Google Sheets to show you how it's going to actually move a file. So in your media directory, in your media/downloads, which is where qBittorrent puts something, if you have a movie, any movie.mp4, and you're not using hard links, Radarr is going to see your movie in the media downloads folder and make a copy in your media/movies file. The problem is, you'll see here, I have movie.mp4 twice. I literally have two copies of the same file, of which can be pretty large, depending on what movie it is or what file it is at all. And it's doubling the amount of hard drive space I'm taking just to watch this one thing. Just to watch one thing, I have to store it twice, costing me double as much hard drive space. So the important thing about hard linking is, if you have hard linking set up correctly, using this folder structure here, where you have one data set for media and then have three directories underneath them, what it's going to look like for the server is this. This is using hard links. This is what happens when Radarr is hard linking your files correctly. So under your media directory, your media/downloads, qBit will find your movie.mp4 and place it in media/downloads. When Radarr sees movie.mp4 in your media/downloads, it's going to create a hard link under media/movies to this one file. You'll notice here there isn't another box like there was before for movie.mp4 over here under media.movies. So you might be thinking, where is my file then if it's not in the media/movies folder? The easiest way to explain this is that kind of like shortcuts on Windows exist. So for example, say if you're a Windows user, you might be familiar with putting a shortcut on your desktop to a file that exists somewhere else on your hard drive. If you delete the shortcut, that's not the same as deleting the file. That's just the shortcut. The file still exists somewhere else. In the case of Linux, Linux is basically creating a soft link, well, in this case a hard link, but it's basically a shortcut in the media.movies folder to the movie that exists in media/downloads. This little diagram is a little bit of a misconception of how this actually works. So the way this actually works is that movie.mp4 will exist on your hard drive in one place, and then there'll be two links to it. There'll be one in the media/downloads folder and one in the media/movies folder. Now, the reason that's important is there'll be two links to the same file, one in each folder. If you delete one of the links from the folders, either one of these folders, the file, in this case movie.mp4, still remains on your hard drive. If I remove the second link under media/downloads, then it fully deletes the file. Basically, as long as there's still a hard link somewhere in your desktop, or somewhere in your server, I should say, looking for this file, movie.mp4, it will remain on your hard drive. Only after you remove all the links linking back to movie.mp4 will the file actually be deleted. So those hard links don't take up any space. Just like regular shortcuts on Windows, they're almost completely tiny. They're almost inconsequential on your hard drive. So the best way to do this is using hard links. It only keeps one file here. So you might look at this and be like, man, I don't want everything in my media downloads folder. And that's, again, kind of a misrepresentation. This file doesn't actually exist on media/downloads. It exists in your hard drive, and there's a link in media/downloads, just like there's going to be a link in media/movies to this. It doesn't necessarily exist in your media/downloads folder. And that's important, because if you want to seed this for, say, 30 days and then delete it from qBit, because there'll still be a media/movies link pointing back to it, you're not actually going to delete it from your hard drive. It'll remain in your remain is a soft way to put it, but it remained in your media/movies folder. So I know that's kind of confusing to think about, but it's very, the simplest way to think about it is this. As long as movie.mp4 is on the hard drive and either your movies folder is pointing to it or your downloads folder is pointing to it, it's going to continue to exist. So if it's in two places, if your downloads folder and your movies folder are both pointing to it, you can remove it from either, and it's still going to stay in the other one. You're not going to lose your files. So that's really important. If I choose to stop seeding, that's great. And then if I remove it from Radarr, it removes it from my hard drive. If I remove it from Radarr, but it's still seeding on qBit, that's fine. It's going to stay on qBit and continue to seed until I finally delete it from qBit. So that's important to know. So there's a really good way to know whether or not you're using hard links correctly. This is the trash guide, and you'll see this here. So if you come up to the folder structure, this line right here, to test if your hard links are working, the trash guide. So when you click this little link right here, you'll come to this page on trash guides. Trash Guides is going to show you exactly what to do to make sure you're actually linking your files correctly. And here they have this little warning box. It says you can't create hard links for directories. That's the whole folder itself. It can only be for an individual file. You can't create them across separate file systems, which in our case is going to mean data sets. And some file systems are known to not support it. You don't have to worry about that because we're using ZFS. So we're going to scroll down here. This is the best method that I like to recommend people. This is using ls. So when I come into my files, for example, if I'm in here, what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to go to my CD, and I'm going to want to go to my movies, for example. And then I'm going to come in here, and if there was an actual file in here, I want to find the file name, and I want to look at this little number here. So you'll see here, for example, for downloads, there's a number right between the last X of the permissions scheme and the beginning of the owner and group. This is the column I'm looking for in the movies folder. So let's look at the example on trash guides. You'll see here they have a bunch of different things here. So what we're looking for is the green rectangle. So if your movie, for example, it has a little 1 next to it, that means it's not hard linked. There's multiple copies, full copies of it on your hard drive. If you have one of the green boxes, like you have a 2 or 3 or greater, it means there are many different shortcuts in your server somewhere pointing back to the same file. Those are hard links. That's good. The blue box is if you have directory. So for example here, this is not actually a hard link even though it's greater. This is a number greater than 1. A greater number than 1 is what we're looking for hard links. But because this is a directory, and I can tell it's a directory because this permission, this little thing over here starts with a D, that's not the same as a hard link. I need to point it to the individual file. So in this case, I need to actually point it at movie.mp4. I need to do an ls-l, and I need to find the row for movie.mp4 and make sure this number is a number greater than 1. If your number isn't greater than 1, your hard links are not working. I recommend you put a post on the Discord support forum, and we'll walk through maybe what's going on with your folder structure that it's not working that way. If it is a number greater than 1, that's great. That means you're using hard links and there's only 1 copy of your file on your hard drive and you're saving all that space. So I recommend, again, you go through the folder structure here and look at what's going on and make sure that your hard links are working. If this is super confusing for you and you are willing to start over again, you can use the automated folder creation script for TrueNAS. The script is here, and this is a really cool way to go ahead and make this deployment. There's all kinds of information here about how that works, along with a video to show you what it's going to do. But if you're doing this by hand, follow the instructions here so it looks something like this. and then you will make sure you are using Hardlinks by going to the trash guides page and double checking that everything is working after you've done a fresh download after you've made this change. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys support the channel by liking and subscribing. If you have questions or you want to just give me some feedback, post it in the comments below. If you do have questions about this that are complicated, please post in the Discord support forum. And if you want to say thank you, please buy me a coffee.